This is how you complete the main quest on Reckoning for Black Ops 6 Zombies, the finale. Nice and easily. On screen you can see the calling card rewards you receive for beating it. Of course, like prior maps, you get a bonus one for doing it before the directed mode comes out. So be fast. This calling card is one of the better ones. Now if you need teammates to do this with, drop your Activision IDs down in the comments below, but this guide will be functional for both solo and multiplayer games. Let's jump in. So from the start of the game you'll start by spawning in on Tower 1, and you need to follow the quest markers given to reach Richtofen's office and then the sub-level. In this room you can then turn on the power by pressing this button, and the first thing you need to do is activate Pack-a-Punch. After you have Pack-a-Punch sorted, you will get a quote from Richtofen telling you that you need to get to Tower 3 through the bioetheric portal, but that first you must complete one more errand in the Mutant Research Lab. Once again, like Citadel Daymore and Shattered Vale, most of this main quest is non-linear, so once you have enabled the Pack-a-Punch, there are a load of things you can do. This video will list them in an order that should help you complete the quest with the least amount of difficulty, but you can be progressing with them simultaneously. One thing that can be helpful to know to make progress early on is that during your first and second Commando Klaus rounds, you will want to kill the Commando Klaus enemies by shooting their arms, as once per round a Klaus arm can be dropped by them for the buildable Frankenklaus. But you can do it at any point in your game, but of course the earlier the better, so you don't have to go deeper into the rounds. Anyways, as you are progressing, head to the Tower 1 Mutant Research Lab. A zombie named Geneticist will spawn in, and after you kill it, it will drop a keycard. You can then collect that, and this keycard can be used to unlock the fridge containing the DNA vial. In the Mutant Research Lab, you can also pick up the syringe, which you need to extract blood from a zombie found in Tower 2 sub-levels. To extract the blood, you must wait until a zombie is one of the random things floating in the gravitational beam. Then enter the beam by jumping into it on the side it projects from. You can move side to side while in the beam and you become an ethereal orb, and you must make your character crash into this zombie. The zombie will then fall somewhere on the floor, allowing you to fill up the syringe with its blood by interacting with it. Once this syringe is filled with blood, you can bring it back to the Mutant Research Lab and give it to the mangler found inside a tube. Killing this mangler, who is an employee known as Sean Fowler, drops you a Fowler mutant injection. You can take this mutant injection and head up to the Tower 2 Dark Entity Containment and go up the stairs. After going up the stairs, you will find a closed door with a biometric scanner. You can open the door by using the mutant injection and interacting with the scanner while transformed. If you fail this step, you can buy another Fowler mutant injection for 1500 salvage from the location of the original mangler. To complete the quest, you will need to build Frankenklaus, like I said earlier, and is something, like I said before, you can start on straight away. You will need 2 arms and 2 legs for him. The arms, as mentioned earlier, require you to shoot the arms off of Commando Klaus enemies during Klaus rounds, and doing it correctly will drop 1 arm around at random from one of the ones you shoot off. The legs are located in random locations on the floor in the Tower 2 Android assembly, and I'm going to show 4 locations for it in the gameplay in the background, but I think there are potentially more, so just look around the room. I'll show them now. You can then build Frankenklaus by interacting with his frame in Android assembly at the entrance of the quantum computing portal. At some point later in the game, ideally starting from round 16 when the first Uber Klaus will spawn on the map, you'll need to power him on by having an Uber Klaus use his electricity tack in front of him, which will cause him to start speaking when powered on. When he is active, you will need to complete a full round for him to move, and then follow him until he stops beneath the containment chamber. Progress rounds until a SAM trial spawns in, then purchase and complete the SAM trial. He will then go through the portal into the Tower 2 teleportation lab. With this room unlocked, head to the Tower 2 quantum computing core and find the machine where the hard drives for the caster upgrade are plugged into. You'll need to punch the closed panel with Melee Macchiato to reveal a brain. Now you just need to pass a certain amount of time defending it against the zombies for its light to go from red to green, so another player can just keep the final zombie to make it easier, or you could just just use decoy grenades, especially if you are on solo, as it is simply time gated. After it turns green, you can then pick up the brain, take this brain to the newly unlocked T2 teleportation lab and place it into an identical looking machine that you can see by just walking forward as soon as you enter the room. To continue with the main quest, you will now need to have the Gorgofex wonder weapon, which cannot be obtained from the mystery box unless you do the quest for it first. The first step to get the Gorgofex is to head to the mutant labs and unlock the door locked behind a 3-digit code. In this area, there will be 2 terminals which, when interacted with, will briefly show a word. You must get the first letter from these 2 different words. These letters will combine to make an element from the periodic table. You can find a periodic table for reference on a wall below one of the keypad doors. You must find the atomic number of an element that you can make using these 2 letters to input your code. You can also use the atomic number generator from Detonated, linked on screen and in the description, where you can just input the first and second word to find the elements nice and easily if you are struggling. Although this isn't necessary because it's pretty easy to work out without the periodic table, but this may save you a few seconds. Once inside, there are 2 closed boxes next to each other, with one containing a cyst. You must damage a parasite or vermin as close as possible to the left one to activate it, causing the creature to be absorbed into the cyst. You then must damage more vermin, parasites, or zombies close to the cyst, which will also be absorbed into it. Once enough zombies have been absorbed, the cyst will change appearance and can be picked up. Once you have the cyst, head down to the quantum computing. There will be 3 etheric flora plants that you must stand under, which will have your character pull out the cyst to extract essence, and you must remain under the plant until all of its health has gone. But this does not have to be done in one go, as you can move in and out back into the range if you are getting consumed by zombies, for example. Once this is complete, standing under these plants will no longer pull out the cyst, and you will get a character quote. The next step is to head to the T2 Dark Entity Containment by the Forsaken. There will be some computers on the upper level with black screens. One will say, Initiate Power Surge. You must activate with that screen. Then quickly run around the upper level of the room and interact with the others, which will now also make a noise that you can hear when within proximity. If you fail, you can immediately attempt this again. This will power a platform in front of the Forsaken Containment Core. Once this is done, an Uberklaus will spawn once per round. You must shoot the shoulder pads off of it and then bring him onto the top of the electrical pad. When he goes on top of it, you will get a white flash as the Forsaken will take over his body. You will see the red essence from him go into him. You then must defeat this Forsaken mini-boss, now a lot weaker than when we last saw him in Cold War after being drained for 5 years and probably not wanting to live anymore and literally going crazy in that time gap, as he has now become a more difficult Uberklaus. So keep destroying the Uberklaus, and just like with the regular Uberklaus, when you defeat, I guess, the Uber Forsaken, it will then become the core version of the Forsaken, and you need to defeat him as well, which after doing so will allow you to combine the cyst with a portal in the air, rewarding you with the wonder weapon, the Gorgofex. It's very strange how they just killed off the Forsaken like this after he was absent for so long, and why even bring him back just to do this? He could have just ended his story perfectly at the end of Cold War, but regardless, you will then be able to optionally upgrade your Gorgofex to one of 2 different variants. However, this isn't necessary if you just want to complete the main quest, but it can help. As you cannot pack-a-punch the regular Gorgofex normally, you can only pack-a-punch it if you have one of the upgrades, and massively increase the damage output. But like I said, this isn't necessary for the main quest, and you can only do one or the other. I incorrectly said in my ending breakdown that these were necessary for either the Sam side or the Richtofen side of the quest, but no, these are purely optional. So I'm not really sure if they're canon or if they have story significance, because they do involve Panos and Blanchard. I don't know if these characters are ever going to be in the future in Black Ops 7, for example. Let's first go over with the Gorgofex-N variant. This is unlocked by siding with Panos, and personally this is the one that I think is slightly better, but there isn't a crazy difference between the 2. First of all, you need to go up to Blanchard's door in the T1 Executive Suite and speak to him, and starts by picking up a Strauss counter which can be found on one of the consoles in the T1 Quantum Computing Core. Using this Strauss counter, one room around the map will have a reading, and the rest will stay out of range, so you basically need to explore the map with the counter until you find the right location. Once you are in the room that has the correct reading, you'll want to try and get the reading number as high as possible, with its maximum being 10 by just moving around until you get closer and closer to where you need to be. Using the Strauss counter, locate a zombie window that gives the highest reading, then find and use a charged Gorgofex shot. Shoot an object outside the window which will give you the life drain essence. Once you have this, you will want to find 3 different parts. The cable can be found on the outside balcony in T1 Quantum Computing Core, the PC fan can be found in the T2 Dark Entity Containment Chamber, and the HUD can be found in the Bioweapons Lab, unlocked by the 3-digit keypad. Once you have all of these parts, head to the top of Tower 1 and find Blanchard's door. You will be able to construct a device that you must protect zombies from, so be prepared for this.
I bet Mama's spinning in her grave right now.
Carver owes me a beer when this is over.
Then you will drain Blanchard's life essence as he will emerge from the door and literally melt to acid and instantly become the upgraded variant of your weapon. So sad what we've done to Blanchard, just killing this innocent guy for no reason. Hopefully this is non-canon, but there is the potential the multiverse might be back and this is just one of the choices. But like I said, not necessary for the main quest. And then you can pick up the green canister now storing Blanchard's life essence. Now make your way back to the Bioweapons Lab and you are now able to construct the upgraded Gorgofex-N variant that you can then pick up. This is the green one. The Gorgofex-N has acid rounds that fire corrosive acid projectiles that deal damage over time, kind of like the acid upgrade to the Die on D machine. These rounds create lingering area of effect pools or splash damage that erode zombie health, making it effective against tougher enemies like elites or mini-bosses, as you can sort of cycle around it and keep it trapped in that pool. The acid can damage zombies standing in affected areas, providing massive crowd control by forcing enemies to take continuous damage when they are moving through or remain in the acid pools. The charged shots are great, and of course you can pack-a-punch it as well, boosting its damage and ammo reserves, enhancing its effectiveness in prolonged engagement, much better for the boss and high-round use. I would say this variant is ideal for players aiming to tackle high-health targets or maintain area denial, as the acid's damage over time effect is particularly strong against single targets or stationary groups. Now we have the Gorgofex-C variant, which this time requires you going to Blanchard's door and speaking to him, and siding with him, which I guess is the right thing to do storyline-wise, but maybe not gameplay-wise. After this, head to the reception and find the red room with the teleporter to the sub-levels. On a console, there will be a red button you can press. This will spawn a Maintenance Klaus, whom you must protect while he disables one of the elevators. When it is disabled, Panos, who was taking the elevator, will become an orb trapped inside it. You must head up to the T1 Quantum Computing Core and parachute down the elevator while interacting with the 3 switches on the side as you fall. Once this is done, you will go back up to the top of the elevator, and Panos will now be an orb that charges zombies. I guess because we turned off the elevator as he was the orb, he was not able to go back to a regular human. You must keep killing these charged zombies until Panos appears in front of the console at the entrance of the room. Interacting with him will then drain his life essence, making him become the Gorgofex-C upgraded variant of your weapon, which this would definitely be the right canon choice, I guess, killing Panos instead of Blanchard. But who knows, they've really not explained what Panos' goal even was for this map, so I'm hoping he is safe for Black Ops 7, but don't hold out hope. The Gorgofex-C fires powerful lightning-based projectiles. These blasts deal high damage and have an area of effect component, making them effective against groups of zombies. The lightning attacks can chain between nearby enemies, stunning or slowing zombies in a small radius, which is ideal for controlling hordes in tight spaces. Obviously, you are able to pack-a-punch it as well, increasing its damage output and ammo capacity, making it better for the boss fight or high-round survival. I would say this variant is best suited for players focusing on clearing large groups or dealing with special zombies, as the lightning effect excels at disrupting enemy movement and dealing consistent damage across multiple targets. Anyways, once you have the Gorgofex in hand, whether it's an upgraded version or the regular one, you are able to head to the T1 Mutant Research Lab and look down into the hole, which you can use to drop to T1 Quantum Computing. You will see a small balcony with a dead zombie and a plant, with the zombie's head on the outside of the railing. You must shoot near the zombie's head with a charged shot of the Gorgofex, which will cause the fungal head to drop onto the floor below as you are falling.
Korea, brought down to earth with a splat.
You'll then want to find 4 interactable documents around the map, one of which will spawn in the teleportation lab, with the 3 others spawning in the director's office or the executive suite. Interacting with these will show you one of Samantha Maxis's items, and the document will contain an item number from 1 through 6 and a date. Yes, that's right, either Takio's katana or Dr. Monty's scarf that she collected from her time in the Dark Aether on Firebase C. This has insane implications for the OG crew back in Black Ops 7. And the document will contain an item number from 1 through 6 and a date. You must get the 4 numbers from the 4 different documents, then order the numbers by the date shown on the document, with the earliest date being your first number and the most recent date being your last. This will give you the 4-digit code you can put into a computer by interacting with it, which is found on the left hand side as you enter the T2 teleportation lab. Once you've successfully inputted the code, head down to the sub level. On the console where you activated Pack-a-Punch, there will now be an exposed red button you can press, which will allow you to interact with the device that is on top of the console in the middle, obstructing the window view. Interacting with this will spawn 5 quantum vermin. 4 of these vermin will be in high up positions in the main sub-level area, while 1 will chase you like a normal vermin. You must use the Gorgofex Wonder Weapon to kill these 5 vermin and also kill a decent number of regular zombies. Doing this will charge an orb on top of the device you interacted with. If you fail to charge the orb, you must wait around and interact with it to try again. And you can also get a free perk during this process, which is pretty difficult to do. A lot easier though if you're in a 4-player game, very hard on solo. You need to get a load of kills in quick succession. Essentially, you need to get 2,000 points within very quick succession as a team before the end of the time limit for this step. So you need to be trying to kill the zombies as quickly as possible. The bluish purple ether vermin give 200 points each, so you should really prioritize them, whereas the regular zombies only grant you 10 points each. During this time limit, if you've managed to get 2,000 points or more during this, you will then get a random perk at the end. And also, using a double points does not work on this step to half the amount you need to get, so this is something extra you can aim for whilst doing this step. Anyways, regardless of whether you wanted to get the free perk or not, when complete, you can interact with the orb and your Gorgofex will glow with an electrical charge, which will be active for 1 shot of the weapon. You must head to the T2 teleportation lab and shoot the crystals in the middle of the portal with the charge shot. The next thing you will need to do is clean your fungal head. To do this, find a mop and a bucket. There are a few around the map, with one at the lower portal entrance of the android assembly. You must punch the bucket until it goes under one of the sprinklers, which turn on at random intervals, or by throwing a Molotov at a smoke detector if you can find one on the ceiling. Once the sprinkler is on, the bucket underneath it will fill up with water. You can then give the fungal head a wash, which will allow you to pick it up and carry it. When carrying the washed head, you will move slowly, have strange effects on your screen after a bit of time, and be chased by a purple entity. Take it to the T2 teleporter room and kill zombies until souls stop going into the head. Once this happens, you can place it into the left side of the portal, and the head will appear in the middle of the portal, further restoring it. This will unlock several blue boxes that are on the ground, one of which can be found in most rooms around the map, including one in the T2 teleportation lab. These will contain a vacuum seal device. There will be some items around the map that will levitate and glow purple, jumping from spot to spot. 4 of these can be found in the area around the director's office, 2 in mutants research, 1 in quantum computing, and 1 in reception. You must find 4 vacuum seal devices and use each to capture one of these objects by throwing the device directly at it. Once you've done this 4 times, head back to the T2 teleportation lab. You'll now be able to interact with the terminal in the middle and begin a lockdown. So be prepared. During this lockdown, there will be levers around the perimeter of the room. 1 lever at a time will turn red, and you must interact with it to turn it green. Then search for the next red one to interact with. Once this is done, you will get a white flash and you'll be able to begin the boss fight by interacting with the portal. When you go through to the boss fight, by interacting with the Sentinel artifact, you will get the choice to help Richtofen or the Sam AI. Killing Panos or Blanchard is not requirements for either side of these boss fights like some people initially thought when the quest was first beaten. Anyways, the final boss you face will be the one you did not choose to help. So obviously if you side with Sam, you'll fight Richtofen instead. If you side with Richtofen, you'll fight Sam instead. Now siding with Richtofen, so fighting Sam, is by far the easier fight. So if you are just looking to do the one that's going to be the easiest just for completion's sake, then I would recommend that being as the one to do. But both fights are great fun, so I really would recommend doing either. Unfortunately, there's not exclusive rewards for doing either of the fight. There really should be, but just for a fun factor and for completionist's sake, I would recommend doing both, but attempting Sam first because it will help prepare you for the harder Richtofen one. Now, it is possible, of course, these will be patched and changed in the future, so maybe they'll be more equal in the future. The Richtofen fight is a very hard fight, so be warned, unless it is patched in the future. It is very challenging, so if you like a challenge, go for it, but if you think it'll be too challenging for you, just do the Sam one. Anyways, once you have chosen Richtofen or Sam and you've begun, the first two phases will be identical no matter what you have chosen, as the lift will ascend. On the first floor, there will be 3 devices that you must fill up, as it is a soul box, and you fill it up obviously by killing zombies in the nearby proximity. Once you have filled it with enough souls and completed it, it will trigger a character quote, and you can then head back to the main platform and the elevator will rise again. On the second platform, there will be ether crystals high up on the walls, which you must shoot to destroy, spawning a horde of zombies. Once all are destroyed, you will get another character quote, and by heading back to the elevator, you can proceed to the top of the tower to fight the boss. So if you've chosen Richtofen and if you are fighting the Sam AI, then you will see her fly around the arena, targeting players with a red laser beam and other laser-based attacks. She will spend most of her time immune, but will occasionally be vulnerable, with critical damage possible by shooting her red eye or some of her vents. Each time you remove a third of her health, you must complete a Sam trial. A legendary reward will grant a random perk power-up drop for you as well, but failure will result in death. She will gain more attacks throughout the phases, being able to cover the arena in purple lasers while quickly moving. She may also send you high up into the sky and can disappear for a short time. Bear in mind, unlike the prior fights, unfortunately chopper gunners, etc. cannot be used for this. You will literally just shoot it down. Ether Shroud is great for fighting Sam because during her laser attack, it will immediately halt her from being able to attack you, and she will display her weak points that you can target. Throwing a smoke grenade at her too can do the exact same effect, stopping her attack and making her weak spots come out. The same with the gas cloud from Vulturade, if you enter them. But obviously you only have a short space, so you need to be careful you don't get pushed out by zombies. Frenzied Guard is also very good as well, as you get lots of ammunition and immunity. The Maelstrom is so good for this fight as well, especially with Deadshot's augment that returns ammunition when getting critical hits. You can pretty much spam it without being forced to reload. Anyways, once you have managed to defeat her, the cutscene will automatically play. You will then have the choice whether you want to continue with the game or not. Like the other quests, if you continue the game, it will give you practically everything: a ton of crystals, ether, tools, etc., all perks, so you can continue with your match. Alternatively, if you are fighting Richtofen, you will see him as an Uber Klaus initially. He will also spawn Uber Klaus commandos and Uber Klaus cores throughout the fight. Just like a regular Uber Klaus, you will want to dodge his range attacks and shoot the shoulder pads until they are destroyed to do the most damage. For this fight, I think using the extended Ether Shroud augment is really good, because you will get in a lot of sticky situations, and this way you can crack down when all of the weak spots are showing and you just can spam him without having to worry about reload. However, just like an Uber Klaus, after defeating Uber Richtofen, there will be a second phase. Richtofen will use a jetpack to fly around the arena, shooting players with the Wunderwaffe DG2, which must be dodged by moving. He will also fly up high and do aerial bombardments around the arena. He will also use equipment such as blast traps to look out for. Once you have managed to defeat Richtofen himself, again the cutscene will automatically play. The cutscenes are identical apart from the outcome that Sam or Richtofen receive. Once again, you can then choose whether you want to stay in the game or not. If you choose to stay, you will get practically everything: all perks, ether crystals, legendary weapons, ether tools, etc. Now, before you enter the fights, obviously make sure you have perks. Of course, good augments like Dying Wish, have good Gobblegums ready to revive your teammates if downed, or to keep your perks, etc. The Gorgofex-C is great for crowd control in the Sam fight. The Gorgofex-N is probably better for the Richtofen fight. You know the drill. I mean, if you've come to DLC 4, you know what the best things are. So yeah, that's how you do the full main quest on Reckoning in Black Ops 6 Zombies. I hope this has helped. Plenty more videos to come. Bye.